response to the terrorist acts of the Zionist regime, this is what the Iranians say, has been duly carried out. They then go on to warn Israel, should Israel carry out any kind of response or commit further acts of malevolence, a subsequent and crushing response will ensue.
Decision Wisconsin, a very busy day in the race for president, especially here in the Badger State. Former President Donald Trump back in the state just days after his campaign stop in Prairie du Chien over the weekend. He'll speak at Dane Manufacturing in Waunakee about 1:30 this afternoon, then head to Milwaukee for a speech at Discovery World about 5 o'clock. Also in Milwaukee this evening, Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff. He's expected to speak about 4 o'clock. Location has not yet been publicly disclosed. It all leads up to the first and potentially only vice presidential debate tonight on CBS. Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will debate in New York. It's scheduled to begin about 8 o'clock Central Time. Pro-Palestinian student protesters face disciplinary hearings at UW-Madison. University officials say an op-ed published in the Cap Times on May 10th is an admission that student protesters created an encampment on campus, which is a violation of university policies. Graduate student Vignesh Ramachandran wrote that op-ed. He explains his choice of words.
We use the words we and our. The usage of these words was to describe our role as part of a movement for justice in Palestine. A movement that has been ongoing since the Nakba, or catastrophe that displaced hundreds of thousands of Palestinians.
Ramachandran says using his writing as evidence is a violation of his First Amendment rights.
Writing an op-ed, an expression of a person's opinion, an expression of their perspective, should be one of the most protected rights at a public state-funded university like UW-Madison.
The university has 14 days to make a decision. And the Brewers begin a quest to return to the World Series today. A little bit of fall chill in the air. The team confirming that the roof will be closed at American Family Field for today's wild card game against the Mets. Brewers manager Pat Murphy tells Wisconsin's Morning News, especially with the timing of the game, roof open or closed can actually make a difference.
You know, there's some pretty stiff shadows sometimes, but you just like it to be fair for everybody. And, you know, sometimes the shadows play havoc, but yeah, you can't worry about it. It's playoff time. It's all bets are off. Just get it done.
Coverage of today's game begins at 3:55 on WTMJ. Brew October is sponsored by Delta Dental. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. All the indices in the red today, with the Dow trying to fight back, still down about 84 points at 42,245. NASDAQ is off about 245 points at 17,942. S&P 500 also lagging today, down about 43 points at 5718. For sound financial advice from a fee-only fiduciary, it's Annex Wealth Management. Go to annexwealth.com and click on the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 1:05.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for Tri-County Contracting. Is it time to replace the siding at your house? First off, you got to go to Tri-County Contracting. You can hit up their showroom in New Berlin to check out the vinyl siding and the LP Smart Side they have on display. They'll help you find that siding and the color that you will love. And if you're worried about price, don't forget about the 30-year no-faded paint warranty. Transform your house and increase the value. Worry-free roofing, siding, and windows. Tri-County Contracting, WI.com.
Dan Kraus, retired Army veteran and Wisconsin estate planning law specialist, talks about what can happen if you don't have an estate plan.
Your assets may not go to your intended heirs. Family disputes and legal battles can arise after you pass. Loved ones could face financial hardship. The court may decide on guardianship for your children. You may leave behind nothing because of nursing expenses. Don't let these things happen to your family.
Contact Kraus Estate Planning and Elder Law Center at estateplanningpeople.com.
Find furniture for life from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
So if you're selling a $2 million home and you found yourself what you thought was a pretty good deal on your real estate commission, at say about 3.6%, you'd pay $72,000 in real estate commission. Not bad, right? Well, your Benefit Realty agent will charge you no more than $19,000 no matter what size property you're selling for the listing side of your sale. And it all comes with the full service you'd expect from an experienced real estate brokerage. This is Angela Calais with Benefit Realty, where you pay less for full service. Benefit-realty.com. We've saved our clients over $19 million in real estate commission. Now, I say this because that's a pretty big number, but I also bring it up because it's always been cool for us to save our clients money. It's not about being the top volume agency. Over here, it's more about you. And at 1.9% commission, with a cap on our commission for the listing side of your sale, no matter what size property you're selling, you will save substantially. This is Angela Calais with Benefit Realty, where you pay less for full service. Benefit-realty.com.
Time for WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. The postseason begins this afternoon for the Brewers against the Mets. Game 1 of a best-of-3 wild-card series with Freddie Peralta earning the start. Coverage begins at 3:55. Brewers playoff coverage, Brew October, sponsored by Delta Dental. And the Packers traveled to Los Angeles to face the Rams Sunday afternoon, a 3:25 kick. Packers likely to be without wide receiver Christian Watson, who suffered an ankle injury in Sunday's loss to the Vikings. Taking a look at your roads here at WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver Traffic Update. Volume is relatively light here through the noon hour and into 1 o'clock. Your usual slowdown spots include 41 southbound, Highway Q to the Zoo, working your way through the closure system there and running you about 16 minutes today. 14 from 43 southbound, Brown Deer to downtown. Same if you're headed northbound on that stretch. 894 westbound, Mitchell to the Hill. You're on the brakes till about 76th Street. That's running you about 9 minutes. Expect some more delays heading into Brewers traffic this afternoon. Also, former President Trump working his way from the Madison area to Milwaukee somewhere between 3 and 4 o'clock today.
Traffic is sponsored by Annex Wealth Management. Traffic brought to you by Annex Wealth Management. Financial and retirement planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth. Annex Private Client. Annex Ignite. Ready for you at AnnexWealth.com.
Partly cloudy, breezy, and cooler today. A high of 67. Chilly tonight at a low of 39. Wednesday looks great. Sunny and a high of 72. Right now in Madison, it's 61 degrees and sunny. Green Bay 62. Waukesha 63, 64 at the Avenue. I'm Greg Matzik. Siding Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 1:09.
65,498 square miles. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get to it. This is Spanning the State, and here are your hosts, Kristen Bry and Brian Noonan.
Good afternoon. Happy October. Holy moly.
Rabbit.
October 1st. It's a big day. There's a lot going on in Wisconsin today.
A lot happening, and we only have 2 hours to cover most of it.
I know, and you just said, you're like, I'm getting out of here after this show. I'm not getting caught in Trump traffic.
I don't want any president, I don't care what party they are, I'm not getting caught in motorcade traffic. It's not happening.
All right, well, coming up today, something that's not necessarily top of the news, most newsworthy thing that we are probably going to talk about today, but indeed, when you think of Wisconsin Dells, what's the first thing you think of?
The Tommy Bartlett Water Show.
Oh, wow. You don't think of just all the water parks?
No, because it's like I've never been to the water parks.
Oh.
And I grew up seeing everybody in Northern Illinois with the bumper sticker, I saw the Tommy Bartlett Water Show.
That's kind of like I closed Walski's. All right. Well, I always think of it as the water park capital of the world because it's the highest concentration of water park. It's America's largest outdoor water park, largest indoor water. It's a whole bunch of things. But there is a lot more to do in the Dells than just kids' amusement park. So later on in this hour, we're going to talk about that it's maybe one of the best places to see fall foliage and so much more. Then we have another debate tonight. And so Brian has come up with some more over-under bets of things that may happen, words that may be uttered. And so we will place our bets later this hour.
And then after 2 o'clock, of course, we will spin the state. And then affordable housing is an issue that we're hearing not only in the presidential campaign from both sides, but local municipalities are dealing with this. The mayor of Wauwatosa is going to join us to talk about how Wauwatosa is trying to deal with this. And then Wisconsin has not increased Medicaid in quite a long time, and it's leaving a lot of money on the table. So why is that? We'll find out when we are joined by Jason Stein. He is the new president of the Wisconsin Policy Forum. Now we'll check in because Vince Vitrano is at AmFam Field, and we will see what the mood is over there before we get out of here this afternoon.
Absolutely. And so we just want to acknowledge that we know there's a developing story as far as the missile attack that is happening in Israel from Iran. And I know top of the hour news and bottom of the hour news, we will cover any updates. It appears to be over as of right now as far as live updates I'm seeing from the news. But obviously knowing that is a developing story.
And Iran has said they've done what they meant to do. This was payback for the head of Hezbollah being killed the other day. So they're, according to Iran, they're done. But if anyone decides to do a little payback on their own, then they will be met with crushing force, was the way Iran said it. So a lot going on, but of course, ABC News and our own newsroom is keeping an eye on it. And if anything big breaks, we will get it to you.
Supersede that. All right. But it is a big day.
It's a big day.
Hunt for Brew October is here, sponsored by Delta Dental. But we, we're not one of the sports shows, but when it comes to big sports news, we want to be in the mix.
As the flagship for the Brewers, we want to get in on the action, and it is a big day. The first of 3 games in the wild card against the New York Mets, who should be very sleepy.
Well, that's what I was. As I heard Mike from the other room go, yes! And he was very excited that we're not playing the Diamondbacks. He was very excited that we're playing the Mets because they had to play yesterday. Now they're coming back to Milwaukee. They're probably going to be a little sore, tired, maybe not on top of their game, giving us a little bit of an advantage.
We should hope that the Mets do not bring Grimace with them. In the middle of the season, the Mets were not doing so good, and there was a Grimace promotion. So Grimace has been at all the Mets home games and has brought the Mets a lot of luck. So I'm not saying to take any action against Grimace should you see him trying to enter AmFam Field, but, you could block his egress. That would be fine without any sort of physical contact, just to keep Grimace out.
What is the deal with Grimace and the Mets? Grimace is in, like, the McDonald's character.
Yeah, the big purple Grimace thing. They did, like, a Grimace birthday promo or something, and so Grimace has been part of the
He's
Mets
just been
games.
adopted as the mascot?
Yeah, he's just been hanging around at, I think it's City Park.
Not to be confused with Gritty.
No, Gritty's
for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Right.
Random, just such a random mascot, just a created character.
Gritty, he's probably going to be the mascot here for a while. Everything's got to be Gritty. Everybody's Gritty. So, it's going to be exciting. We're going to talk to Dom Cotroneo. He is at the ballpark. He is getting ready for the game. You know Dom from Brewers Extra Innings and the Brewers Weekly Podcast and his pre- and post-game work for the Brewers here on WTMJ. So we are going to talk to Dom and get a little breakdown, a preview, some X's and O's, which we never do on this show, so we probably won't do it even with Dom. But we'll talk to Dominic Cotroneo after this. It's Spanning the State.
From American Family Field here in Milwaukee on an overcast, rainy, cold afternoon for baseball. It's the Brewers against the Minnesota Twins in Game 1 of the championship home season. Bob Uecker. Good to have you back.
Brew October is sponsored by Delta Dental.
In Milwaukee, it's baseball season, even in the fall.
And Wisconsin's Afternoon News has partnered up with Vienna Beef for Tailgate Tuesday.
Throughout the Brewers' run in the playoffs, tune into Wisconsin's Afternoon News every Tuesday during the 3 o'clock hour for your chance to win a $150 Vienna Beef gift card.
And a rocket to right, base hit, they win!
Nothing says Brewers playoffs like Vienna Beef.
We're the home of the Brewers.
We are the home of the Brewers.
WTMJ.
Go Brewers!
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Rate Watcher Brian Wickert. Well, the Federal Reserve finally cut their overnight interest rate by 0.5%. But mortgage rates already had this cut baked in. Good news is AccuNet can deliver a 30-year fixed APR between 5.7% and 6.4% on a $260,000 30-year fixed rate loan with 25% down payment and all the other best attributes. The APR depends on how much you want to spend in closing costs and a lot of other factors. Now, will lower mortgage rates get more homeowners to list their homes for sale? Maybe a little, but it's almost certain more buyers will come off the sidelines, which is why you need a highly skilled AccuNet loan consultant more than ever, along with our rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval to help get your offer accepted. It's also a good time to take a look at a genuine zero loan cost refi. Whatever you do, don't settle for a flimsy pre-approval or high closing costs from your bank or other lender. Click on the blue button today for a no-pressure refi checkup or to get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
Outdoor living is great, but it's best when it's at your own home. Well, there's a company called Outdoor Living Unlimited that will build you a deck, a patio, pergola, fire pit, all manner of things to enhance outdoor living at your place, even an outdoor kitchen. Get started right away. Contact Outdoor Living Unlimited now. Get your yard project onto Outdoor Living Unlimited's calendar while there's still openings. OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
the State. I'm Brian Noonan.
And I am Kristen Bry, and the hunt for Brew October is here. Brew October is sponsored by Delta Dental.
Yes.
And we are ramping up.
We are. The
Game
Brewers
one.
finally know who they're playing. They learned it yesterday afternoon after the Mets beat the Braves in a dramatic fashion in Game 1 of a doubleheader. Then the Braves won the second one to ensure their spot in the wild card. What does this mean for the Brewers? I don't know. I can only speculate. So we decided we'd talk to Dom Cotroneo because he might be able to do more than speculate. Dom, you know, from Brewers Extra Innings, Brewers Weekly, all his work for the Brewers here on WTMJ. Dom, I know it's a busy day over there. Thanks for jumping on with us.
Yeah, we got the guys doing batting practice here in a moment, infield work right now. Lineups are set. We just finished talking to Mark Atanasio, Pat Murphy, Devin Williams, a lot of guys out here yesterday, and best time of year is here, man. This is what it's all about.
It is, and now Pat Murphy has been, since somewhere mid-season, undaunted has been his thing. That's the mantra for Pat Murphy and the team. What did he say today, and is that a mentality that's been adopted by everybody?
You know, one of the questions I asked him today was, every guy that we've talked to all say there is a different vibe for this year's team versus previous years. Now, that may sound like a low-hanging fruit. Like, of course they're going to say that, Dom. The previous teams all lost. But for the guys that have experienced multiple playoff runs here in Milwaukee, now for the first time doing it with Murphy as their manager, a lot of them credited the win tonight and the Murph-isms and the things that he has come up with as rallying cries for this team. But I asked Murph, do you feel the different vibe? Do you think you're a reason for it? And he did take a moment to kind of think, he feels the vibe, too, being a little bit different. Okay. And maybe that is because of him. Maybe that is because of the players in the room. But he does remind everybody that each year needs to be viewed individually, right? Even if they did face the Diamondbacks here today, folks would be freaking out about facing the D-backs and oh my gosh, you just got bounced by them last year. He was, very patient and saying you got to make sure you judge 2024's team based on just 2024. So all of this to be saying, I think Murph has done a great job this year, to say the least. Quite frankly, he should be the unanimous manager of the year for the National League. Yeah. And here we go. The journey begins to climb the mountain.
Now, the Brewers have had a lot of luck with the Mets this year. They beat them 5 out of 6 times.
You call that luck, Brian? You're calling that luck? They just absolutely whipped them.
All right, they dominated the Mets all year. The Mets also
Grimace
coming
or
off.
no Grimace?
Yeah, did they bring Grimace, Dom? That's the big.
We'll probably see Grimace. Yeah, he threw a first pitch for people who have no idea what you're talking about. He threw a first pitch in June, and they went on a 12 out of 14 run that kind of saved their season from that. Yeah. So Mets fans, as they usually are, they're desperate for anything, and they found something positive with Grimace.
All right, so the Brewers have dominated the Mets all year. The Mets are coming off a game, 2 games yesterday, and then a little alcohol celebration in the locker room that was televised, so we know it really happened. How does that weigh in, all of those things, to what's going to happen on the field this afternoon?
I don't buy it for a second that the Mets are here tired, that the Mets are, they're going to fold over here in Game 1. No, not for a second. Baseball momentum is a real thing. And the way that they won Game 1, that was an all-time classic, and it wasn't even a playoff game, right? It felt like a playoff game. Lindor looking healthy, getting him a few more days to be healthy and see what he can do for that team. It's a reason why he's going to be a top 3 MVP vote getter here in the National League. So to think that, they partied all night last night, they're going to be fine, they didn't land. The guys do this literally all year long, not saying the party part, but I'm saying the flights, the late nights. I mean, there are nights that you don't hear anything about where, they had mechanical issues on the plane, or the runway was full, they're doing some sort of maintenance, whatever, and they don't land in the city they're playing in until 4 a.m., then they have to play a day game, whatever. That happens more often than you think in the regular season. So I don't buy it for a second that the Mets are going to come in here tired and hanging and whatever. The big thing to note about the Mets, though, is their bullpen usage. Those guys actually are a little bit tired. Edwin Diaz, Phil Maton, some of their main leverage arms have not had the luxury like the Brewers have had to just sit and stay ready and stay fresh.
All right, so what do you think the Brewers' strategy is going in today? I know Freddie Peralta's starting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Freddie starts. The big news in the headline from today, 2 things. Number 1, Sal Frelick is not only on the active roster, he's in the starting lineup. And Sal, you may recall, on Friday night in a meaningless game, and this is why we had to play these 2 games yesterday to remind everybody every game does matter, but Sal crashed into the wall down the right field line in an odd, just sort of vacant spot of padding that's a window for the grounds crew down the right field line. Well, obviously that has now been padded up since that injury. It was a 1 in a million injury. He had a deep bruise. And we saw him running on the field yesterday. He's certainly not 100%. Don't believe it for a second that he's 100%. But the Brewers feel that his 80% is good enough for them tonight, and using him in the lineup. And another reason they need to use him in the lineup tonight is because the next two nights, if the Mets, force this to 3 games, it would be 2 left-handed starters, which makes it a little harder on Sal. So I think that's the number one headline, that Sal is not only active but playing. And number 2 is that Brian Hudson was left off the postseason roster. He wasn't really up in the big leagues for the final month of the year, but he's still somebody that is very, very vital to the Brewers getting to this point in the year. But finally, behind Freddie, they've got a very fresh, rested, ready-to-go bullpen, and Freddie has seen these Mets once this year and, quite frankly, dominated them on opening day. So very different conditions then to now. Freddie in the pitching is going to be the thing to watch for today.
I know you're not usually in the prediction business. Do you want to get into it for the postseason?
I'll say this. I know Pat Murphy likes to deflect on the numbers, but the number that really only matters in the wild card series that we've seen now in 2 years of this data, whoever wins Game 1 wins the series. I mean, it's an O. So there's only been one series of this best-of-3 iteration, and this was started in 2022. There has only been one series that has actually gone 3 games, and it was the Mets. The Mets losing at home to the Padres back in 2022. So that's why Game 1 is so important to win, and it really is. You don't want to say, all bets are off, win Game 1. Like, well, at the same time, you win Game 1, you're probably moving on to the DS.
All right, well, let's hope that's true, and we'll be listening to all the coverage of Brewers baseball starting here at 3:55. Dom, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for taking some time.
Thanks, Dom.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Kristen. See you guys.
That's Dominic Cotroneo. You can hear him on all the Brewers coverage because Brew October is sponsored by Delta Dental. I'm wearing it today. The Brewers logo is iconic. How did it come to be? Well, we'll share that info, too, on the other side. It's Spanning the State.
Brew October is sponsored by Delta Dental. The playoffs are here for your Milwaukee Brewers, and we're not done yet.
2-run home run, William Contreras.
Willie Adames. Jackson Churio.
The Brewers take on the Mets in the Wild Card Series. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage of Game 1 starts today at 3:55. The hunt for Brew October is sponsored by Delta Dental. The playoffs go through us on the home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
Donald Trump's back, and he's out for control.
I would have every right to go after them.
Complete control.
I will wield that power very aggressively.
And he has a plan to get it.
Detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do.
It's called Project 2025, a 922-page blueprint to make Donald Trump the most powerful president ever, overhauling the Department of Justice, giving Trump the unchecked power to seek vengeance, eliminating the Department of Education, and defunding K-12 schools, requiring the government to monitor women's pregnancies, and Trump has also proposed severe cuts to Medicare and Social Security. Those are Donald Trump's plans.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that. And sometimes revenge can be justified.
He'll take control. We'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. Paid for by Harris for President.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here. Fall is officially underway, and the time is now to get that yard prepped before the cold sets in. But don't fret, David J. Frank Landscape can do the job. David J. Frank has been in business for 65 years, and they can take care of winterizing the yard, or maybe it's adding some plantings and bulbs for spring, or maybe it's refreshing the patio with power washing and sealing. Make autumn awesome with David J. Frank Landscape Contracting. Get a free quote at davidjfrank.com.
It's a bully that will not let up until you do something about it. And the worst part is that the bullying happens when you're at your most vulnerable. You might as well have your hands tied behind your back while that bully puts one hand over your mouth and pinches your nose with the other. He'll let up, let you catch your breath, and then he'll do it again. Sleep apnea is a bully. Not long ago, we heard our friend John tell you about how his bully was stopping his breathing in his sleep over 145 times an hour. Think about what that can do to your body's organs. It's no wonder that the snowball effects of long-term obstructive sleep apnea are heart disease, stroke, even depression and anxiety. But this problem is solvable, and we have solutions, and you'll be surprised at how simple they are.
To date, Advent has solved over 40,000 breathing triangle problems. It's time to put that bully in his place. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows. When you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Results may vary.
Ground ball through the right side and into right field for a base hit. How about the first career hit for Jackson Churio? The 3-2 delivery.
Yeah, that was a big highlight this year of the Brewers season. It is Spanning the State. I'm Brian Noonan.
And I am Kristen Bry. And we thought we'd take a little trip down memory lane, as you are indeed. I'm wearing blue.
Yes, you
I am
are.
not wearing my Brewers gear today, but I will wear it throughout the series. I should have worn it today, but you are wearing your Brewers
I'm wearing
stuff
a
today.
Brewers thing, and before I get any heat, because people will say, "Hey, you said many times you're a White Sox fan." I am, even though they are historically the worst team in modern day baseball, but they're American League, and I do root for the Brewers in the National League because not only do I like Milwaukee and the Brewers, I hate the Cubs,
and we love you for that.
So there you go. But I've got the cool iconic logo on my shirt today, and you can text watch right to 855-616-1620 and watch us on YouTube. But in 1977, the Brewers were looking for a rebrand. They wanted a new logo. They wanted all kinds of stuff, and a lot of teams will then turn to like ad agencies or marketing consultants, and they'll try to get it that way. No, the Brewers said we're going to the fans. Oh, we've got to test
How does this logo make you feel,
Right.
random group of strangers
Yeah,
who are paid to be here?
Thankfully, the Brewers are smarter than that. They went right to the fans, and the fans submitted thousands and thousands of, as you can imagine, hit and miss logo ideas.
No
for
pun
the Brewers.
intended?
Yeah, no, oh, yes, you're right. No pun intended. But all of a sudden, a 29-year-old UW Eau Claire art education major named Tom Mindel heard an ad about the contest, so he decided he was going to whip this up. Now, his wife was also an art educator, and they were sitting around, and they came up with the mitt. Greg, is there a name for this logo? Greg Matzik is here. Is there an official name for this one?
Ball and glove.
Ball and glove.
That's official?
Ball and glove logo, yeah.
All right.
So they
Can't
came
tell
up
if you're
with
joking or not.
Me either.
All right. Well, even if that's not the name, it is the ball and glove logo. You know about it. So the design featured the iconic ball and glove with an M and B forming the glove. What do you think the Brewers paid him for this design?
$1.
No, the Brewers are a little more generous.
$200.
No, Greg, you have a guess?
I was going to say $5,000.
Too much. $2,000.
Okay.
In the 70s?
In 1977, $2,000. So that's it. And so that's where it came from.
So an art teacher from Eau Claire.
Two Eau Claire art majors, they got it. All right, on the other side of the news, we'll go to the Dells. Figuratively, not literally. But first, we must go to ABC News and local headlines. Then there's more. It's Spanning the State.
Brew October is sponsored by Delta Dental.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services.
ABC here?
Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
Citing a limited WTMJ news time is 1:31 from the WTMJ Breaking News Runner. I'm Greg Matzik. The Wisconsin Department of Justice investigating a death in the village of Caledonia. Racine police tried to stop a vehicle involved in a hit and run earlier in the day on Monday. That suspect fled from police and crashed into a tree near 4 Mile Road and Main Street and ultimately died at the scene. Law enforcement involved in the chase are on administrative leave. The absentee ballot drop box is back in Wausau. The city's lone drop box is now secured to the ground outside City Hall, according to the guidelines set by the Wisconsin Elections Commission. The issue with the drop box started back on September 22nd when Wausau's mayor removed the box, claiming it wasn't secure and that it should be set up to the city council to decide whether it should be used or not. Wausau's clerk sent a letter to the mayor telling him to return the drop box by noon on Friday of last week. That didn't happen. The clerk ultimately referred the incident to the Wisconsin Elections Commission and the Marathon County District Attorney for review. There were no ballots inside the drop box when it was removed. Providing help to inmates who have hearing disabilities. The Wisconsin Department of Corrections will now provide incarcerated folks who are deaf or hard of hearing with hearing aids, sign language interpreters, and video telephones. This comes from a settlement with the Justice Department after violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act. The DOC will pay $15,000 to compensate 3 inmates who were harmed without the aids. Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is fighting back, now down just about 13 points at 42,317. S&P 500 off about 32 points at 5729. And the NASDAQ is down nearly 205 points at 17,984. Financial planning at every level. It's Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, and Annex Ignite. For details, visit annexwealth.com. Taking a look at your roads here, WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver Traffic Update. Usual slowdown spots here this afternoon, including a 3-minute delay, 43 southbound, Brown Deer to downtown. About a 3-minute delay northbound through that same stretch through the construction zone. On the brakes, 894 westbound, Mitchell to the Hill, freeing up a little bit after 76th Street, about a 3-minute delay. Keep in mind, former President Trump is coming to Milwaukee from Dane County later this afternoon. You also have Brewers traffic. Those parking lots open at about 1:30. Things okay on the roadways right now, but certainly going to pick up later this afternoon. Cloudy and cooler today, eventually with a high of 67. Those clouds will be rolling in more so later tonight. Pretty good spattering of sun right now. Windy conditions as well today. Overnight low of 39, 72 and sunny on Wednesday. Right now in Waukesha, it's 63 degrees. Madison, 61 and sunny. Green Bay at 63, 64 at the Avenue. I'm Greg Matzik, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1:34.
Restaurant prices are soaring, but not at the Mine Chef restaurant in Hartford. WTMJ's John Mercure here. One of my favorite places. It's so fun. It's such great value. Family owned for almost 50 years. My daughters love this place. Been going since they were little girls. It's super affordable and so much fun. Every Tuesday, the authentic Mexican buffet is all you can eat in just $9.99. It's the best Tuesday dining value, $9.99. Kids 5 and under eat free today from the kids menu, and then they can safely play in that world-class game room, quietly tucked away from the dining area while you finish up your dinner. Stop after school. It's great fun. The Wednesday 3-piece dine-in fish fry is $4.99. Whoa! That's crazy value. From 2 till 5 today, beers, cocktails, and appetizers are half price. The Mine Shaft in beautiful downtown Hartford and just off Highway 41 in Oshkosh near the EAA. Walk in today for the Tuesday all-you-can-eat Mexican buffet for under $10. MineshaftRestaurant.com.
Vince Vitrano for Lifetime Door Company. Your garage door is a big part of your home's exterior. Mine's beat up, rusting on the bottom, and about to be replaced with a beautiful, high-quality, made-in-America door from Lifetime Door Company. Family-owned, Lifetime Door has endless possibilities in size, style, and color, and local installers all in-house. Tell them Vinny sent you, and it's $100 off your garage door, $50 off a new door opener. Visit the showroom in Brookfield or start online at lifetimedoor.net.
It is Spanning the State. I'm Brian Noonan.
And I am Kristen Bry. Now, Brian, you said you have or have not been to the Wisconsin Dells?
I am ashamed to say this. I've been to the Dells for gas as I drove past.
That's it?
That's it. I'm probably one of the only kids who grew up in the Chicago area who has not been to the Dells.
Was your parents were just like, we're not doing that?
I don't know. We always went east, like to the East Coast or Cape Cod, stuff like that. But we've never So I've driven by, I've stopped for gas, I've admired all the giant water park hotels, and I thought, oh, this would probably be fun if I wanted to take my shirt off, which I don't.
But there's also other things. I mean, and it's been decades of different types of attractions, right?
Yes.
Like I remember as a kid, some of my earliest memories are of the Storybook Gardens, which was really fun as a kid. And the one place that closed before I was born, but then sat there empty, was Fort Dells, which was this spot that was based off of Frontierland at Disneyland. And so it was like this whole Western thing. So it's been... and that is our guest, Andy Larson. There we go. His guest is his mic is on now. But it was popular, right? There you go.
Fort Dells was very, very popular, as was Storybook Gardens.
And so
as was the Standing Rock Indian Native American dancing. Those
I don't remember that one either.
Famous things that are now no more.
Now no more. Now it's
and the
a
duck
lot.
boats are no longer there.
Oh,
right?
the ducks are absolutely
Did
there.
they come back?
The ducks never left.
Okay, but with the Tommy Bartlett show.
The Tommy Bartlett show is not going on anymore, but the ducks are still around.
Oh, no, okay.
And they're a great way to see fall foliage.
That's why I got to get up there.
Well, and that's what we're going to be talking about, because we wanted to talk about the other things that you can do in Wisconsin Dells when it's not overrun with children, because it is not just a place to go in the summer. Our guest is Andy Larson, who's the Executive Vice President at Belter & Lincoln Marketing Communications, and he told me about this as far as Wisconsin Dells, the place to see fall foliage.
Yes, it is. We actually were just honored by Travel and Leisure magazine, national magazine, named Dells one of the 22 top places in the United States to see fall color. It's the only one in Wisconsin. It's one of only 2 in the Midwest. Most of them are in like the northeastern states.
I would think that.
Yeah, so we were very excited about that, and there's a lot of good reason behind it. If you want to see beautiful fall color, there are 4 state parks in the Dells area, including Devil's Lake, the most popular one in the state. Obviously, we were just talking about the ducks.
Yep.
We have jet boat tours, amphibious duck tours, and boat tours that go up and down the river, the Dells of the Wisconsin River.
And how long does that go into? Like when is the last day until they're like, winter's coming, we got to close up shop?
It's weather dependent, but it definitely goes through the fall.
Okay.
Yep. But there's a lot of other stuff too. We have 8 different wineries in the area, and seeing, going to a winery in the fall when everything's turning is, it's a fun experience anyway. But it's even nicer then.
And is it wine that's made in Wisconsin?
Yes.
Okay.
Some
a lot of
them
cranberry wine?
Some of them are, some of them aren't. Well, the biggest one is Wollersheim. They grow their own grapes. So they're using their own stuff right there. There's a bunch of others too that are doing really well.
So what's peak time, Andy? Because the colors are starting to come out now. What's my window to go up, get on a duck tour, and grab a bottle of wine?
Well, I would say you're good all the way into, again, weather dependent, but all the way through October for sure.
And if we stay lucky, because at least down here it's been
it's been
a warm fall so far, which has been I have appreciated.
Yeah.
And so, but beyond that, there's also some fun festivals this fall, right?
Yes. Well, we were just talking about wine. This coming Saturday is the Fall Wine Walk, which is a very, very popular event that goes on in downtown Wisconsin Dells. So there'll be all sorts of local artisanal wineries, Baraboo Bluff, Fawn Creek, Prairie Hawk, just some of the others that are in the area, as well as Wollersheim. They'll all be there. So that's very popular. Also on the third weekend, on Saturday the 19th, is Dells on Tap, which is a craft beer festival. And then the night before that is a craft beer walk. That's also both of those in downtown Dells.
See, now Brian's ears
now
are
I'm paying
perked up.
attention. Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, have some Oktoberfests and
sounds good.
Pumpkin beers and
what
stuff.
is that date again?
That is Saturday, October 19th from 1 to 5, and then the evening prior will be the walk downtown.
We know during the summer and around Christmas, the crowds at the Dells are big because that's everybody goes. How are the crowds in the fall? Is it a little more laid back for people who may not want tons of kids or just tons of people?
Yeah, well, it certainly is a little different demographic. Fewer families with kids because school's in session, although you will still see a few. But yeah, it's probably a little older crowd, a little more towards couples or empty nesters or just people out having fun on their own. But again, I think you'll see a lot of golfers. There are some spectacular golf courses up in the Dells area. So you'll see groups of people who are up there to do that, to do biking, to do zip lining, to go on the boat tours, to go to the fabulous state parks. Yeah, a little older crowd, little less family.
And so is the history of the Dells, did it really start with the boat tours as far as it, because really like the population without the tourists is what, 4,000, 5,000 people?
I think it's in the 6,000 range, but something like 15,000 people work in tourism there.
That's what I mean. And so what was the origin story as far as the Dells being the tourist destination of Wisconsin?
It goes much farther back than the duck boats, which the duck boats, by the way, came out of World War II, so that's their genesis. No, the Dells became famous actually all the way back in the 1800s when a pioneering photographer named H.H. Bennett started doing tintype photos of the dells of the Wisconsin River, the dramatic rock canyons, and they were seen all over the country, and people went nuts. They thought it was beautiful. He was Ansel Adams before Ansel Adams, really. And so people started coming there largely by train in the later 1800s, and that's when it first became known as a vacation destination. At the time, it was called Kilbourne City, named for Kilbourne, just like the same guy in Milwaukee. To this day, there's a Kilbourne Dam there. But the dells of the Wisconsin River were what everyone was coming to see, and they just called it Wisconsin Dells, and that eventually just became the name.
And so, I mean, that also makes sense. It's why it's one of the few Amtrak stations that we still have that stops in Wisconsin Dells. But so then what were kind of the other timeline plot points to where we are now as far as why it always stayed as a tourist attraction? And it's added the water parks. It had the Fort Dells. It had all these different spots. Like, what was it about the ethos that they wanted to continue to focus on tourism?
Well, it's a very beautiful, I mean, it's a unique, from a geologic perspective, it's unique. I mean, there's only very few places in the world that have the dells like that. Also, it's right on the edge of the driftless area, which is the unglaciated area of Wisconsin. It's much hillier. It's very beautiful. That's where Devil's Lake State Park is, and Mirror Lake, and so it's right on the edge of that very beautiful area. So the natural beauty certainly drew people. Native American traditions were there, and a population was there, and that attracted some people. And then it kind of just built on itself, and tourist attractions started to pop up. And it became a thing. It gained momentum through the 30s, and then once people had cars, then that was a whole different explosion. And it's relatively easy to get to.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just, I think it's the kind of place that has charmed people for generations. And then Grandma talked, to the grandkids, and we're going to go, and it just became a tradition.
It's a rite of passage.
The evolution is, I think, the important part, because there's a lot of places that may be popular at one point, but they don't change, and so they fall off. And while the natural beauty is never going to go away, the stuff that keeps people coming with
it is definitely
water
evolved.
parks
It
and
is
change and all
for sure. The ducks, as I said, they're boat tours going back to the 1800s. So that was really where it started. But the ducks came out of, they were developed during World War II, and then started getting used privately in the late 40s, early 50s, and the duck tours took off. Some of the other attractions that we were talking about, Storybook Gardens, for instance, came around that time. The water ski show, the Tommy Bartlett show, was famous, which really lasted up until COVID. So it did kind of change the nature. Now we're known, of course, as the water park capital of the world. The water parks started to come around in the the 80s, but the real quantum leap was in 1989 when the first indoor water park was introduced in Wisconsin Dells, first place in the world. And then a number of other entrepreneurs saw that was a heck of an idea and quickly followed suit. And, within 10 years, we had more water parks than any place in the world. And so that has become sort of the third iteration, if you will, of the tourism world of Wisconsin Dells.
It's so cool. So fun. All right. Well, as we said, it's not just a summer location or destination. Go there in the fall. It's one of the best places in the state, if not the country, to see some fall foliage. Andy Larson, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate it.
Let me just say, if you want to find out more, wisdells.com.
Wisdells.com. All right. Check it out. This is Spanning the State.
I'm Brett Matchke, and you're due for service.
Richlands. The Fox exclusive cruise sale with Royal Caribbean is going on now. Daring first and thrilling adventures are as plentiful as elegant moments and stress-melting relaxation when you sail with Royal Caribbean. Fox World Travel offers exclusive cruise prices you won't find with any other local travel agency. Plus, for a limited time, receive free specialty dining on select cruises. Let a Fox World Travel cruise expert save you from the daunting task of choosing from ships, ports, and staterooms. And visit foxworldtravel.com to plan your next cruise.
We've found that the high road is worth the climb, and it's less crowded. At Semperfi, everything we do is done to the best of our ability. There are no shortcuts. It's pretty simple. We do what we say we're going to do because we fully understand that a reputation is never given. It's always earned. It is in our nature to keep our values intact so that when we leave your job, you'll be right there to shake our hand with satisfaction. We've installed massive flat roofs and shingled huge churches, schools, and all kinds of homes from modest to extravagant, all with integrity and pride in our work. And we're going to keep doing it for generations to come. That's what Always Faithful means to us. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semperfi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semperfi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semperfi.
Between market volatility, inflation, global unrest, and the presidential election, there's a lot going on. Take control with help from Annex Wealth Management. Have a plan built that matches up with your investment and retirement goals. Annex does it as a fee-only fiduciary with unbiased advice. Annex offers financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, and Annex Ignite. Head to AnnexWealth.com, click the Get Started button. It's time to put things in order. Know the difference with a fee-only fiduciary. AnnexWealth.com.
This is Spanning the State. I'm Brian Noonan.
And I am Kristen Bry, and potentially the last debate of this election cycle is happening tonight.
Yes.
Senator J.D. Vance from Ohio and Governor Tim Walz from Minnesota are going to face off tonight in the only scheduled vice presidential debate this election season. Who knows? Maybe it will lead to another debate. I doubt it between the presidential candidates.
You don't think? I have a theory that if J.D. Vance does not do well, and I'm not saying he won't. This is an if. But if he does not do well, that suddenly Donald Trump will want another debate.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, either way,
you can't have the team going down based on your number two.
Either way, I think we'll definitely get some memes out of it.
Yes.
I definitely think the internet will do what the internet does best, which will make it hard to go to sleep tonight, as it did the last debate, where it's just fun to see all the jokes that people are coming up with. But I imagine Vance will be aggressive.
That's a good bet.
It'll be interesting to see how aggressive Walz is in response to that. Because he is he comes off as very affable, but in the face of being called a liar with some of the military service stuff,
right.
Like it'll be interesting to see how he responds to that.
I think even affable people, if pushed, now I don't think he'll come unglued, but I think there will be some forceful pushback on some of the things that maybe, and I see that on both sides. I don't see either one of these guys just kind of rolling over and letting the other one come at him.
I think how often, because I think they both have a tendency to kind of like laugh off a question that they think is silly.
Right.
And it comes off as very, very differently between on who's doing it, but they both kind of like, ha, come on. Oh, these guys are just weird. Or like, come on, Dana. And it's like they both have a tendency to do that. The moderators are going to be CBS Evening News anchor and managing editor Norah O'Donnell, and then Face the Nation moderator and CBS News chief foreign affairs correspondent Margaret Brennan. There will be no live fact-checking by the moderators. What they're doing instead is, for everyone out there who loves QR codes in replace of menus at restaurants, there's going to be, if you're watching on CBS, there's going to be a QR code on your TV for live fact-checking, which I think is the first time any network has used that tactic.
I'm not a fan of that move.
I guess it probably just takes you to a blog.
I just am
where
distrustful.
the fact checkers are writing and updating in real time. But I feel like whenever you say QR code, a lot of people roll their eyes.
Well, and you get to listen. I'm of a certain age, but there's people who are past my certain age, and they're not going to go. And those are probably a lot of the people who will be watching the debate, older voters. They're not going to, do a QR code. I'm very distrustful of the QR code on my TV. I'm not getting scammed. Don't laugh at me, Rhea. I'm not. Everybody's hacking everything.
I peg you as someone. If you went to a restaurant and they gave you a QR code instead of a menu, you would not be pleased.
Oh no, that's
You're
not
fine
true.
with that?
Oh,
Okay,
I'm fine with
okay.
that. I know plenty
of people who hate that now.
I've looked at tons and tons of brewery menus on QR codes.
Okay,
I
so
have
it does
no
not
problem
bother
with that.
you.
No,
You trust those, but just not the one on your TV.
well, no, because the restaurant has no. They're not going to rip off their customers. Something broadcast to a TV, anybody can get into. Some black hat hackers are probably out there monitoring CBS right now. Am I paranoid? Only until I'm proven wrong.
All right. Well, we thought we would come up with because what could go wrong? Because the last time that we had some over/under bets in replacement of doing a bingo card. It was a debate that changed the course of history, and Biden dropped out after that debate. But you came up with some more over/under bets. Now, remind the people how this works.
All right, so we are going to set a line for a bet. For example, our first bet is the number of times cat ladies or childless cat ladies are going to be mentioned by either candidate.
By either candidate or anyone. Does it count if the moderators say it?
Oh, yeah, by anyone. We'll make that by anyone. So cat ladies or child cat ladies mentioned by anyone. We set the line at 4.5. So if it's 4, if you bet the under, you win. If it's 5 and you bet the over, you win. That's how it goes.
All right. So how many times the word cat lady or childless cat lady? I will say under. It'll be less. It'll be less than 4.5 times.
Kristen's going to say under.
We got to. How many?
I'm keeping track on my.
I know, but we're watching the time to be able to go to the news.
I don't even know.
All right, so we'll come back to this. We'll come back and get our over-under bets. But for now, we got to break for the top of the hour news and come back and spin around the state on Spanning the State.
Gruber Law Offices presents Thanalysis.
That's what we called it, a bubbler. That's what you call it, a bubbler? You called it a bubbler.
A podcast from Thanasis Antetokounmpo.
I say thank you as a family. He's not here to represent, but I'll say thank you.
Also supported by Carbless, premium ready-to-drink cocktails.
Okay, you know what? Let's go to the animal facts.
And Potawatomi Casino Hotel in Milwaukee.
All those games we had were such close games. That was the crazy part.
Subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Rate Watcher Brian Wickert. Well, the Federal Reserve finally cut their overnight interest rate by 0.5%. But mortgage rates already had this cut baked in. Good news is AccuNet can deliver a 30-year fixed APR between 5.7% and 6.4% on a $260,000 30-year fixed rate loan with 25% down payment and all the other best attributes. The APR depends on how much you want to spend in closing costs and a lot of other factors. Now, will lower mortgage rates get more homeowners to list their homes for sale? Maybe a little, but it's almost certain more buyers will come off the sidelines, which is why you need a highly skilled AccuNet loan consultant more than ever, along with our rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval to help get your offer accepted. It's also a good time to take a look at a genuine zero loan cost refi. Whatever you do, don't settle for a flimsy pre-approval or high closing costs from your bank or other lender. Click on the blue button today for a no-pressure refi checkup or to get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
Are you tired of being tired? Go to AdventKnows.com.
If you're seeking Lake Country's finest, don't miss out on the Westerly, opening this spring. Whether it's active fitness, enjoying a swim in the indoor pool, improving your handicap using our golf simulator, or hosting guests on our rooftop patio, the Westerly has you covered. Providing seniors with award-winning residences throughout Wisconsin, this locally owned and operated company is engaged and offers unmatched services. Apartment reservations are booking quickly. Call Stacy at 262-737-5501 or visit livingwesterly.com.
Hey, it's Jason Wilde for Excel Custom Decks. I at least like to think I'm an expert when it comes to football, but I know Excel are truly experts when it comes to the art of deck building. With the finest materials and products combined with their superior craftsmanship, they'll deliver exceptional quality and value on everything from backyard decks to pergolas and outdoor kitchens. If you can dream it, Rob and his family can build it. Family-owned Excel Custom Decks delivers decking excellence by design. Visit excelcustomdecks.com to learn more.
Adrian was seriously injured when a careless driver merged into her lane.
Gruber was there for everything that I needed. Any questions that I had, Gruber was there. They made me feel like everything about my situation and my accident was very important to them, and that made me feel good. And I would definitely call Gruber again for that.
Serving Wisconsin for over 35 years, Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
They go above and beyond for their clients.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. When you walk into your bathroom, is it turn this into this? With our Sidex Creepiest Tub or Shower Contest. Enter a picture of your creepy tub or shower space at WTMJ.com for a chance to win a brand new complete tub or shower conversion installed at no cost, up to a $10,000 value. Enter your picture by texting CREEPY to the WTMJ talk and text line. It's the Creepiest Shower Contest, only here on WTMJ.
As you age, you start noticing pain in your joints that didn't used to be there, but you don't have to live in pain. When joint pain becomes a reality, schedule your free pain evaluation with Rejuvenex. We'll find where your pain lives and inject powerful, FDA-approved medicines that reduce inflammation and pain while improving mobility in hips, shoulders, elbows, and knees, with some patients experiencing relief for greater than 2 years before repeating the process. While treatments like stem cells can cost close to $10,000 per joint, at Rejuvenex, the cost for your injection can be as low as $65, and almost all major insurance plans cover our treatments, so you may not have to pay anything at all. Call us now to schedule your free pain evaluation, because I'm pretty sure we can help you. This is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Clinics, where we can alleviate your pain and rejuvenate your life. Go to Rejuvenex.com to request your free pain evaluation.
The playoffs are here for your Milwaukee Brewers, and we're not done yet.
Two-run home run, William Contreras. Willie Adames. Jackson Chourio.
The Brewers take on the Mets in the Wild Card Series. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage of Game 1 starts today at 3:55. The hunt for Brew October is sponsored by Delta Dental. The playoffs go through us on the home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
Hey, enjoy a free dinner tonight in an up-north supper club atmosphere at the Fox and Hounds, voted the best supper club in the area. WTMJ's John Mercure here. This place is fantastic. For over 90 years, the Fox and Hounds has been making wonderful memories in their historic, beautiful, rustic timber building. When you buy one dinner, your second dinner is free. No coupons, no gimmicks, It's simple. You order that tender steak, the ribs, the seafood. How about a big fresh salad? Order the signature steak and lobster. Any of those entrees, you buy one dinner, your second dinner is free. Desserts and ice cream drinks, buy one, get one free. I go for the chocolate cake with a big scoop of ice cream. Sip on a hand-muddled old-fashioned, bourbon, or over 100 wines in those 8 elegant dining rooms, or check out the patio in the woods. The Fox and Hounds, just off Highway 167, 2 miles east of Holy Hill. As the fall season begins to set in, the drive through the Kettle Moraine is one of the most picturesque in Wisconsin. Brighten up your Monday and Tuesday with a free dinner tonight. Tables are open. FoxandHoundsRestaurant.com.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago. Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
Trusted, relevant, locally owned, locally programmed. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620, WTMJ Milwaukee.
It's 2 o'clock. Tonight, chilly, a low of 39 inland, a little warmer along the lake. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 72. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm John Mercure. Iran has launched missile strikes in Israel in response to the Israeli military attack on the Hezbollah leader in Lebanon. ABC's Matt Gutman has the latest from Tel Aviv.
Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, who's the chief spokesman for the IDF, went on TV, a national broadcast, announcing that for now, there is this all clear, telling people they can sort of begin moving out of those bomb shelters. He told them to stay close. He also said that some of those missiles apparently hit installations. We do not know, and he said they are not aware of any casualties at this point. That does not mean that there aren't casualties at this point. The one thing that he certified is that there will be a response, that Israel has a plan.
And the White House saying moments ago that a missile attack has been defeated and was ineffective. Decision Wisconsin. It's a busy day in the race for president here in our state. Former President Donald Trump is back in Wisconsin. Just days after his campaign stop in Prairie du Chien, he's speaking at Dane Manufacturing in Waunakee this afternoon, then heading to Milwaukee for a speech at Discovery World at 5. Also in Milwaukee this evening, the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff. He's expected to speak at 4:05. The location has not been publicly disclosed. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Senator J.D. Vance will face off tonight in the vice presidential debate just 35 days before Election Day. ABC Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce has more on how both candidates are preparing for tonight's showdown.
Already, both campaigns are trying to lower expectations. That's while sources have told reporters the Minnesota governor is nervous. And we know he did warn Harris during the vetting process that he's a bad debater. Now, both men have been intensely preparing with mock debates. Tonight, a chance for them to further introduce themselves to voters. But they know most Americans make their pick based on who's at the top of the ticket.
And it's Jimmy Carter's 100th birthday today. Carter is the longest living president in history and the only one to reach 100. More from ABC's Steve Usanami, who says there will be events at his presidential library today, the Carter Center in Atlanta.
President Carter started hospice care at home in February of 2023. But a reminder, this is a man who beat cancer that had spread to his liver and his brain. He tells his family he now needs to make it through the election, where, unsurprisingly, he plans to vote for Kamala Harris. They will be registering people to vote here at the Carter Center today.
All right, time for the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management, market update. Everything is in the red. Stocks sliding a little bit today. The NASDAQ right now is down 218 points. The Dow is off 51. The S&P is off 37 points. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather up next. Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 2:03.
The kick is up and wide left.
Why don't they customize the goalposts? Make them wider.
Gina Della from Pella, how'd you get into the booth?
And why just yellow? Add some green stripes.
Sure, Gina. Should they also remove the G at midfield and paint a Pella crest?
Okay, Wayne, you can't customize a football game to go the way you want, but Pella can customize your home the way you want.
Right now, get 0% interest for up to 36 months. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 10/31/2024.
It's bird bashing season when you swoop into Potawatomi. Thursdays, you could win up to a wicked 50 grand cash in the Bird Bash Game Show. Just play with your rewards card all October for entries. All Bird Bash entries go towards a December 20th giveaway with a monstrous 300 grand in prizes. Bird Bash makes its bewitching return. Only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Learn more at paysbig.com/birdbash. Must be 21 years old to play.
When you work with us, you'll know what you're going to get. And most importantly, you'll know exactly what you're going to pay us to list and sell your home. Talk to any Benefit Realty agent and ask about our commission. You will always get the same answer. You may find that others aren't ready to be as straightforward as we are right off the bat. They may try to meet with you first, and from there, you'll probably have to haggle your commission. And if you're lucky, you might be able to get them to reduce their commission to what we charge. But who wants that? Benefit Realty is going to make this easy for you with no upfront fees and 1.9% real estate commission. And we even one up it from there. We cap our commission so that no matter what size property you're selling for the listing side of your sale, your savings will be substantial. And if you're selling a luxury portfolio kind of home, substantial is an understatement. And finally, if you're not happy at any time with the service you're getting, we won't hold you to the term of your contract. This is Angela Calais with Benefit Realty, where you pay less for full service. Benefit-realty.com.
Time for your sports update from the Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all sports desk. The Brewers begin the postseason this afternoon against the New York Mets. Game 1 of a best-of-3 wildcard series with Freddie Peralta earning the Game 1 start for Pat Murphy.
Having Freddie on the mound in Game 1 is good. Doesn't guarantee us anything, but I trust him. So we'll go as far as we can with him and then go to the next guy and next guy and next guy and try to do what we can to win tonight.
Coverage of today's game begins at 3:55. Brewers playoff coverage is sponsored by Delta Dental. And the Packers travel to Los Angeles to face the Rams on Sunday for a 3:25 kick. It's likely the Packers will be without wide receiver Christian Watson, who suffered an ankle injury in Sunday's loss to the Vikings. All right, let's check out those roads. Your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time-saver traffic. Just one delay, I-43 southbound Brown Deer into downtown is going to cost you 3 extra minutes.
Traffic is sponsored by Hall Mazda Milwaukee. Visit hallmazdamilwaukee.com.
Be our eyes on the road. Report accidents, slowdowns, and road conditions to the WTMJ Hall Volkswagen Traffic Tip Line at 414-238-9329.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Tonight, a few clouds and chilly, a low of 39 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny, a high of 72. Thursday, mostly sunny, a high of 75. Friday, slight chance for morning rain, a high of 68. Saturday, sunny, a high of 72 degrees. Right now in Madison, mostly sunny and 62 degrees. In Green Bay, sunny and 63. Here in Milwaukee, sunshine and 66 degrees. Siding Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 2:07.
It's time to take a spin around Wisconsin and find stories you might have missed. Here's Spinning the State on Spanning the State with Kristen Bry and Brian Noonan.
Well, it is a big state. You couldn't possibly stay abreast of all the stories. That's why we hook you up at 2 o'clock. If you want more details on any of the stories we cover in Spinning, text SPIN to 855-616-1620. Kristen, you ready?
I am ready.
Here we go.
Oshkosh. All right. Have you had the honor of seeing the Vietnam War Memorial in D.C.?
I have.
I saw it as when I was a teenager, but
yeah, it's amazing.
It is. It really is. But if you have not gotten to see it in person, you now have a chance to see a replica of it in Oshkosh next weekend. So Sons of the American Legion Squadron 70 will host the Traveling Wall from American Veterans Traveling Tribute October 10th through the 13th at the Sunnyview Expo Center. So the replica is 8 feet tall and 360 feet long. Wow. And the memorial and its traveling counterpart honor U.S. service members who served in Vietnam and Southeast Asia, as well as those service members killed in the region, and also service members who were unaccounted for during the war. The Oshkosh Northwestern reports that the traveling wall is scheduled to arrive on October 9th and will be escorted under colors by a Vietnam-era Huey helicopter, American Legion riders, and local police and fire departments. The traveling wall is open to the public and free of charge.
Very cool. Yeah, if you can't make it to Washington, D.C., it's pretty cool to see. And, it's very moving. So if you get a chance, go check it out.
Yeah.
Let's see where else we need to go today.
Hayward.
Oh, all right. Did you know, Kristen, the Wisconsin River is 430 miles long?
I did know that, actually.
Okay, well, there you go. Did you know that a Hayward man decided he would travel the entire length of the river in a solo canoe?
Did not know that one.
All right. And not only that, he would try to make the trek faster than anyone in history. Well, Kyle Parker is the man. He grew up in Green Bay, and now he lives in Hayward. He succeeded in setting an unofficial record time for solo paddling down the Wisconsin River. He did it in 5 days, 19 hours, and 57 minutes, all by himself in his solo canoe. He's a 23-year-old. He was physically and emotionally exhausted, as you can imagine, when he finished in the early morning hours of September 11th. I'm exhausted just reading about his record. The record, though, is unofficial. These kind of efforts are known as fastest known times, or FKTs. Parker told the Press Gazette, quote, "It took about 5 days for my muscles to get back to normal," end quote. He shared his experience, like all 23-year-olds would do, on his Instagram account, and people were so curious about his journey. His followers grew from 4,000 to 12,000. That's a pretty good jump for 5 days. He always loved the outdoors. He said, during high school, when I was when I really found the passion for the outdoors. So all my friends and I would go hunting and fishing together. While he was in college at UW-Stevens Point, Parker landed a job at an outfitter for the Boundary Waters canoe area, which is where his love of canoeing started. So there you go.
His Instagram handle is @Parker.paddles.
Okay.
Parker Paddles.
Parker Paddles. Go check it out if you want to see
That's an interesting thing because there's a lot of dams on the Wisconsin River. So are you canoeing and then you approach a dam, you get out of the water, you walk around the dam. The next part, is that, because you obviously aren't going over
the
it.
dam? That would be wild. No, he probably has to portage, as they like to say in the canoeing world.
All right.
To portage. All right, one more.
Nakusa.
All right, Nakusa. October is here, and our attention turns to all things fall and Halloween, and especially pumpkins. The folks in Nakusa like pumpkins, but not your just run-of-the-mill gourds. No, they love and celebrate giant pumpkins. The Nakusa Giant Pumpkin Festival returns this Saturday and Sunday at Riverside Park. Not content to just celebrate and showcase giant pumpkins, there's so much more happening. Food and craft tents will be on site. A carnival will open at 9 a.m. both days of the event. An antique tractor and small engine show will be held on Saturday, and a car, truck, and motorcycle show will be held on Sunday at 4 p.m.
Wow.
But giant pumpkins are really the star of the fest. So the Great Pumpkin Weigh-Off will open registration at 7 a.m. Saturday for the 10 a.m. weigh-off, and the Pumpkin Rolling Contest will be held at 1 p.m. on Sunday. So how big can pumpkins grow? The world record pumpkin weighed in at 2,749 pounds.
For a pumpkin?
For a pumpkin. I don't know. I can't even, it's hard for me to fathom what 2,700 pounds even feels like or looks like. It was grown in California in 2023. The Wisconsin state record belongs to Josiah Brandt of Rudolph, who grew a pumpkin that weighed 2,185 pounds, so about 600 pounds shy of the world record.
It's still huge.
But yeah, either way, that's a real great pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
There we go. All right, that is spinning. You can text SPIN to 855-616-1620 and get all of the details of those stories. All right, when we come back, affordable housing is an issue that a lot of communities and the whole country is dealing with. Wauwatosa is taking a look at it, so we are going to welcome Wauwatosa Mayor Dennis McBride to find out what they're doing to make affordable housing a little more available in Wauwatosa. We'll do that after this. It's Spanning the State.
The playoffs are here for your Milwaukee Brewers, and we're not done yet.
Two-run home run, William Contreras. Willie Adames. Jackson Chourio.
The Brewers take on the Mets in the Wild Card Series. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage of Game 1 starts today at 3:55. The hunt for Brew October is sponsored by Delta Dental. The playoffs go through us on the home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
Any exterior remodeling company can give you a lot of good reasons to get a new roof, siding, windows and doors, or masonry work. Aesthetic appeal alone or just resale value help it all make sense. But I'm compelled to continue to tell you what sets Semper Fi apart from the rest. What you're going to get from Semper Fi is a reputation that is backed by an undeniable stack of proof that we are who we say we are. Our character is guided by a level of trust and accountability which not only holds our teams together, but also keeps our reputation intact. And ultimately, that means leaving you satisfied. So when you're about to make that big investment in your home, isn't that what you want? This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
Libby Collins here from my friends at Seniors Helping Seniors Waukesha, who know maintaining independence is one of the greatest concerns for seniors. That's why for over a decade, they've been serving southeastern Wisconsin, offering personalized in-home care to fit each senior's unique needs. From help with daily tasks like bathing, meal prep, and transportation, to companionship and light housekeeping, caregivers make it possible for seniors to stay in the homes they love. Interested in becoming a caregiver? Contact Seniors Helping Seniors today.
It's Spanning the State. I'm Kristen Bry.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Anyway, affordable housing is an issue that's been discussed for years and is now one of the major issues in the presidential campaign and in many local races. So according to a story in Bloomberg, the roots of the current housing crunch began over a decade ago, and after the 2008 financial crisis, which was a consequence of the housing bubble, construction projects slowed and people left the industry. Wauwatosa is not unlike many communities when it comes to a lack of affordable housing. The apartment vacancy rate in Wauwatosa is only 2 to 4%, and that is lower than what real estate economists say is the healthy level. Wauwatosa Mayor Dennis McBride and the Tosa Common Council are trying to address the affordable housing crisis in their town. He is in the studio with us right now to tell us how they plan to make those changes. Mayor, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. You make it sound like I have all the solutions.
Well, you're going to tell us if you have them all, or
Okay.
if you only have one or two, or even just a plan of solutions.
It's a work in progress.
Work in progress is all right. So, a recent report in the release you sent out, the Wisconsin Policy Forum stated that Wisconsin as a whole hasn't added enough apartments, condos, or single-family homes to keep up with the demand. That seems to be common knowledge. It also stated that local lawmakers like you could do more to boost housing supplies in their communities. When you heard that, how did you feel about it, and what steps did the report suggest to local leaders like yourself?
Well, the Policy Forum does great work. Let me first of all say that it's not just Wauwatosa, it's not just Milwaukee, it's not just Wisconsin, it's not just America. I spent 2 weeks in Northern Ireland a couple of years ago, and I was hearing all the same I was knocking on doors, believe it or not, for a candidate there. I was hearing all the same things there that we hear here. We need better health care. We need more housing. Young people can't afford housing, all that sort of thing. It's an international problem, at least in developing communities, or developed countries. Wauwatosa has had a number of a dozen or more sales over $1 million in the last year, which boggles the mind. There's not enough single-family housing. If people want to buy single-family homes in Wauwatosa, there just isn't much supply. There aren't a lot of places to build single-family homes. There are some, but not many, and they can only be individual developments. They can't be widespread the way they are out in Sussex or Heartland or something. So we have to find other ways to provide affordable housing. We've created an affordable housing fund, which is small, growing, and we have to decide what to do with that, what's most efficient. What the Policy Forum, I think, was really talking about when it said local officials could do more is we can do more with our zoning code. We can do more with our building code. So many communities have zoning codes that are highly restrictive. They used to be racially restrictive, and now they're economically restrictive. So we outlawed...
In what ways?
We outlawed duplexes about 60 years ago.
Wow.
Okay. We have duplexes all over Wauwatosa. There are some across the street from me. They're fine places to live, but you can't make new duplexes. We're going to change that. We're redoing our zoning code. We're redoing our comprehensive plan. But think of that. In a city that has hundreds, if not thousands of duplexes, they're illegal.
To make new ones.
Yeah, to make new ones. So
well, and it's interesting because I think of when you think of Wauwatosa, it's landlocked, right? Like there's not like Heartland and Sussex, and there's other areas further west from where we are in Milwaukee that you can build new housing, but for Tosa,
you can
only build up.
We ran out of farmland 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can only build up, and that's another problem. It's a thing called not in my backyard.
Right.
NIMBYs. So every community has NIMBYs. I talked to every mayor in the state, and I just talked to the mayor of Sheboygan. He rolled his eyes, and Mayor West Allis, he rolled his eyes. People want to, they want to create a moat around where they live, and they want to pull up the drawbridge. We don't want to change the character of the city. I have my cell phone in the air here, and I just had an exchange on Facebook with a woman in Wauwatosa. She was saying, "Oh, this is ridiculous." There was just an article about the high housing prices in Wauwatosa. This is ridiculous. And I responded, "Mary, that's because we don't have enough housing."
Yeah.
And then she responds, "Well, you don't want to put housing like you're going to do in the Village area, where St. Bernard's is being torn down in that terrible apartment." And well, see, so all these people, and many of them are liberals, and I'm a liberal, but actually we get the biggest pushback not from conservatives, but from liberals.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because, now we're protecting the environment. What they don't understand is, first of all, Wauwatosa has 10% of the county's parkland. We have a lot of green space. We're building a new park on the west side of Wauwatosa. So we are not short of green space. We expanded Hart Park years ago with the help of the Sewerage Commission after all the flooding. We are not short of green space. What environmentalists will tell you, and I'm one, I've been a member of the Sierra Club all my adult life, is density is good for the environment, not bad. Why? Because you don't have to build more roads. You don't have to extend water and sewer mains. Density is good for mass transit. So we extended with the county. We now have the Connect One service from downtown Milwaukee to the medical center in Wauwatosa. Those are the two busiest nodes of traffic in the state, probably. And why? Because there's density.
Okay, let's go back for a minute. You mentioned the Affordable Housing Fund that you had. Now, every year you were making $125,000 donation to that, but because of a budget shortfall, which is not unique to Wauwatosa, everybody has them, you cut that out. But you said there's other tools available that might be able to make up that money. What tools would those be?
Yes. First of all, thank you, legislature, for nothing, because the restrictions on our property tax levy are ridiculous, and we're not alone. It's every community in the state, and we beg the legislature all the time to change that. Barring that, we had a $3 million budget gap we had to close this year. Every year we have a bigger and bigger gap. On a $75 million budget, $3 million is meaningful. So the finance director, who is very, very much in favor of affordable housing, he was one who advocated for creating it, said we can't afford to put that money in. Where we can do it is when we create tax incremental financing districts, we can require, because of the city's investment, we can require the developer to invest in affordable housing. And we're doing that. Barrett Lowe is going to build luxury apartments at Mayfair. And they're going to contribute over time as the development occurs $1 million into our affordable housing fund. The Mandel Group is going to give, I think, $400,000, $500,000 into our affordable housing fund for development in our village retail area. That's how we build that. Now, my opponent in the last election and many others, they vote against every housing development in town. Because of tax incremental financing. He and many others do not understand, first of all, there's nothing horrible and spooky about tax incremental financing, but it's our only tool, our only development tool that can allow us to change blighted land into developable, good land that'll build our property tax base and at the same time provide money for affordable housing. So they vote against affordable housing projects, even though they claim they're in favor of affordable housing because there's tax incremental financing involved.
Well, my question is going to be, what plans do they put forth as alternatives?
Well, there's a community land trust idea. So that makes it somewhat more affordable. So we sponsored, the city of Wauwatosa did, an exploration of a community land trust. Now, Milwaukee has a small land trust. These are private. And the way I described it was the city of Wauwatosa is not going to own the land trust. We're going to push it away from the shore. We're going to give it the boost, and we did that. And this month, now it's October, at our meeting at the Intergovernmental Cooperation Council of Milwaukee County, that land trust committee is going to make a presentation to all of the mayors and village presidents and the county executive in Milwaukee County to talk about joining this land trust idea. And what the land trust does is the land trust owns the land under a house, but the person who buys the home will, over time, make money on that. If it's a good neighborhood and a good house, they'll make money on that investment, but it'll hold down the cost for the next family that moves in.
Okay.
So there's a house about 2.5 blocks from my house that was in terrible disrepair, and with a lot of grants and some good community programs, we've restored the house. Senator Baldwin was there for the ribbon cutting, and the county executive and I, and we're about to celebrate the opening of that. But that's going to be owned by the Land Trust.
Before we let you go, the Zero TOSA or the Zone TOSA for All program. So explain what that is, and there's some changes in the offing for that program, right?
First of all, yes. Well, first of all, let me say that every elected official in the country will tell you that change is the hardest thing to sell to any constituent. It may not be perfect, but it's what we know. The Zone TOSA for All is a way to update our zoning code. Our zoning code is the second oldest in the state. It goes back to 1921. It's been updated, but it needs more updating over time. So what we're trying to do is make things more equitable, a little more affordable, go back to allowing duplexes, for example, as a way for people to get a little bit of the American pie, right?
Yeah.
So that's how we're going to, that's just an example. Set aside areas where we think more development can occur, and other areas where it shouldn't. I live in a 108-year-old house. I love it. I grew up in a 154-year-old house. We're not going to tear down our old neighborhoods, but we are going to make things more affordable if we can.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on it. Mayor Dennis McBride, the Wauwatosa mayor, is here. Thank you for coming in. Thanks for explaining what Wauwatosa is going to do. And again, these issues are not unique to Wauwatosa. They're, as you mentioned, all over the world.
And we can talk about it for many, many hours. So
exactly.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for being here. All right, when we come back, oh my goodness, we are going to go from affordable housing to affordable medical care. There's a lot happening here on Spanning the State.
Pitch to Willie. And here it is. Willie Adames, his 13th home run. His 24th of the season. Willie Adames, number 26. Going back is Cade. At the track. Whoa, gone! Number 30 for Willie Adames. Bye-bye baseball. An exclamation point. Ended with 3 runs with Willie Adames.
This is the Hunt for Brew October.
What a shot from Adames. Another one.
Sponsored by Delta Dental ER, your home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
He's a machine.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Rate Watcher Brian Wickert. Well, the Federal Reserve finally cut their overnight interest rate by 0.5%. But mortgage rates already had this cut baked in. Good news is AccuNet can deliver a 30-year fixed APR between 5.7% and 6.4% on a $260,000 30-year fixed rate loan with 25% down payment and all the other best attributes. The APR depends on how much you want to spend in closing costs and a lot of other factors. Now, will lower mortgage rates get more homeowners to list their homes for sale? Maybe a little, but it's almost certain more buyers will come off the sidelines, which is why you need a highly skilled AccuNet loan consultant more than ever, along with our rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval to help get your offer accepted. It's also a good time to take a look at a genuine zero loan cost refi. Whatever you do, don't settle for a flimsy pre-approval or high closing costs from your bank or other lender. Click on the blue button today for a no-pressure refi checkup or to get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
This Thursday, Milwaukee PBS and Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel present a special town hall meeting on the future of manufacturing. This open to the public event will be held at the Cooley Auditorium at MATC Downtown Campus. This event is being recorded for a special television broadcast, and a job fair will also take place. The Future of Manufacturing Town Hall Thursday at MATC's Cooley Auditorium. Job fair at 3, town hall begins at 4:30. For more information, visit MilwaukeePBS.org.
We invite you to participate in the WTMJ Fall 2024 Fan Survey. It takes less than 10 minutes.
Wow.
What else do you have to do to complete? And we want your feedback. So to participate, simply text the word survey to the WTMJ talk and text line at 855-616-1620. That is 855-616-1620. And we will send you the link to the survey. As a thank you for your participation, once you complete it, you will be entered to win a package that includes 2 Bucks tickets for this upcoming season and an overnight stay at the Pfister.
Not too shabby. And do we have our hashtag? Celebrate Spanning?
Expand spanning.
Expand spanning?
I pushed that on Steve's show this morning when I was on there.
Oh, how did he react?
He was good with it.
Okay,
he's fine.
good.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, well, he's a friend of the show.
We're friendly.
Right.
So hashtag more Steve, hashtag expand spanning. I don't know if Wisconsin's Afternoon News has come up with one, but we'll find that out. But
John is above all this, all the fray.
Let's go to 6 hours. That's our thing.
That's what you want to do.
Let's go to
6 hours every
Let's
day?
go 6.
Let's play 6. Oh, man.
All right, we'll hear more from John after ABC News.
This is a special report from ABC News. Iran targets Israel. I'm Michelle Franzen. The U.S. says there appears to be no injuries following the barrage of missiles launched by Iran earlier, targeting Israel in retaliation for Israel's killing of Hezbollah's longtime leader last week. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan at a briefing says the U.S. was also engaged in helping to stop the missiles.
U.S. naval destroyers joined Israeli air defense units in firing interceptors to shoot down inbound missiles.
Earlier, the U.S. and Israel signaled that there would be severe consequences if Iran carried out the retaliatory strikes. Israelis were alerted by air sirens earlier and sheltered for several hours. Iran's missile launch comes ahead of Rosh Hashanah, the start of the high holidays for Israelis around the world. Security also stepped up here in the U.S. as a precaution. Homeland Security warning of a heightened threat environment due to the conflict in the Middle East. This is ABC News.
Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 2:31, Decision Wisconsin. It's a busy day in the race for president, especially here in Wisconsin. Former President Donald Trump is back in the state just days after his campaign stop in Prairie du Chien. Speaking at Dane Manufacturing this afternoon, then heading to Milwaukee for a speech at Discovery World. Also in Milwaukee this evening, the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff. This all leads up to the first and potentially only vice presidential debate on CBS tonight. Providing help to inmates who have hearing disabilities, the Wisconsin Department of Corrections will now provide incarcerated people who are deaf or hard of hearing with hearing aids, sign language interpreters, and video telephones. This comes from a settlement with the Justice Department after violations of the American with Disabilities Act. The DOC will pay $15,000 to compensate 3 inmates who were harmed without the aids. And the Brewers begin the postseason this afternoon against the New York Mets. It's game 1 of a best-of-3 wildcard series. Freddie Peralta earning the Game 1 start. Coverage begins at 3:55 here on WTMJ. Time for news about your money. Here's a look at the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything in the red. The NASDAQ now down 243. The Dow is off 51 points. The S&P right now is down 37 points. Get an honest opinion of where you are financially and where you're headed. Work with a fee-only fiduciary. Start at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at the roads, it's your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Slowdowns near the stadium as people start to head to the parking lots there. Other than that, the ride is pretty average. The WTMJ 5-day forecast. A few clouds and chilly tonight. In the 30s inland, warmer along the lake. Tomorrow, sunny, a high of 72. Thursday, sunny, a high of 75. On Friday, partly cloudy, 68. And on Saturday, sunny with a high of 72 degrees. Right now in Madison, sunny and 62 degrees. In Green Bay, sunny 63. Here in Milwaukee, it is sunny and 66 degrees. I'm John Mercure, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 2:33.
Debbie Lazaga here for Kohler Services. If you need a bath or shower remodel, turn to Kohler Services. Family owned for 150 years, Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. This month only, get 0 interest financing for 12 months and a free shower door with your Luxstone shower remodel. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote, with fast professional installation always included. That's KohlerServicesWI.com.
It's our Farm and Animal Appreciation Event at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Right now, enjoy unbeatable prices on the brands you trust to keep your farm going strong. Like large bags of AgriMaster 16% layer poultry feed, just $12.99. Stabil gasoline stabilizer, $9.99 a quart. And all Mobile Delvac Extreme Oil is on sale, starting at $10.99 after $10 mail-in rebate. Plus, we've worked with our brand partners to get prices down. So shop our new lower everyday prices at Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
In 1964, we were making strides towards space travel.
Mary Poppins was the #1 movie in theaters.
And the Beatles were taking America by storm.
Which was long before I was born.
Facts. 1964 is also the year it all started for Richlands Tire and Service Centers. 60 years of continuous growth and more happy customers than you can shake a stick at.
Okay, the streamers are a bit overkill. It's just us in the studio.
All right. But it's important to know accomplishments like these aren't possible without a dedicated team. So hats off to them and our founder, my dad, Dick Mitchke, for understanding the importance of customer focus.
Facts. There's no 60 years of anything without you, the customer, which is why our focus will remain on you and only you for years to come.
Thank you from all of us here at Richlands Tire and Service Centers.
Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
It's bird bashing season when you swoop into Potawatomi. Thursdays, you could win up to a wicked 50 grand cash in the Bird Bash Game Show. Just play with your rewards card all October for entries. All Bird Bash entries go towards a December 20th giveaway with a monstrous 300 grand in prizes. Bird Bash makes its bewitching return. Only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Learn more at paysbig.com/birdbash. Must be 21 years old to play.
This is Spanning the State. I'm Brian Noonan.
And I am Kristen Bry. And Medicaid expansion, also known as Badger Care, is a topic of frequent partisan battles. If you remember back in 2010 when the Affordable Care Act passed, part of that bill allowed states to expand Medicaid to cover people up to 138% of the federal poverty line. So that is about $35,632 for a family of three. So the costs of insuring more people would be paid for primarily with federal funds, with a smaller state match.
Okay.
Wisconsin is one of 10 states that has still not expanded Medicaid. And it's considered the bluest state to avoid expansion. As we know, we're very purple.
Yes.
But the other states are Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kansas, Mississippi, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Wyoming.
Okay, very red.
So we have a governor who has put this in his budget twice. It has been left out of the budget that the legislature ends up working with twice. Robin Vos, Speaker of the Assembly, has said it will never happen under his watch. But there is now a new Wisconsin Policy Forum report that looks at many different aspects of Medicaid in Wisconsin and what expansion could mean for us if our lawmakers choose to take a different path than what they've done so far. So the report's author and new president of Wisconsin Policy Forum, Jason Stein, joins us now. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Thanks, Kristen. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
So before we get into the details of the report, why do this report now?
It's a great question. I think it comes down to, there's been some changes in federal policy over the years. We can talk about those. There's just been actions by other states that have accumulated over time. And then there's just been a lot of evidence that has built up that allows us to look at this issue in a better and more detailed fashion. So some people have told me that, you did this because the election is coming up, and really it would be great if we could whip out one of these 40-page reports, decide in July that we'll just dash that off and publish it at the next month. That would be fantastic. But really, this is something we've been working on for almost a year now, off and on, among our many other projects.
That was even my next question. I was like, how long does it take? When you say a 40-page report, how long does it take? So it takes about a year to do something like this?
Yeah, although you're doing, we publish 50 reports a year, so, we never really get that breakdown of how much time did we spend on any one of them. But a considerable amount of time, you can say that.
All right, Jason, it's been 15 years. Other than just pure partisan politics, what have been the arguments for not expanding Medicaid?
Yeah, it's a good question. There are arguments. First off, it is expensive. Medicaid expansion is to provide health coverage to adults, and that's not cheap. There really is a cost to it. Now, a lot of it would be paid by the federal government, but there is a cost. Second, Wisconsin does currently have a pretty low uninsured rate. Our uninsured rate is roughly 4.9% in 2023. That's 3 percentage points lower than the national rate of 7.9%. And then Wisconsin has managed to avoid a coverage gap. So in other words, all low-income people in Wisconsin have access to some form of publicly subsidized coverage, whether it's Medicaid up to 100% of the federal poverty level, and then above that, the health exchanges that are subsidized through the Federal Affordable Care Act. So those would be some of the reasons that people have given over the years. In addition, some other people have argued, well, perhaps this higher amount of federal funding that you would get for a Medicaid expansion, maybe the federal government would stop doing that in the future. Some other arguments have been made about what impact it would have on people's willingness to work. There's been a variety of arguments, but I think those are some of the big ones that have been made over the years.
So looking at who would benefit if we were to expand Medicaid, what does that demographic look like? Like, what part of the state are they in? How many people would it actually help?
Sure. So it would help, obviously, people between 100 and 138% of federal poverty. So for an individual, that's like $15,000 to $21,000. So, people that are still pretty low income. Of these individuals, if you're an adult in a rural county, a resident of a rural county versus an urban county, the resident of a rural county would be more likely to benefit because of where these individuals are distributed in the state. It would tend to, right now, children are already covered. Pregnant women are also covered up to 300% of the federal poverty, so it would not affect those individuals as much. But it's going to be a lot of working age adults who are low income and who, I guess you asked me for the numbers as well. We're looking at maybe 70 to 90,000 people who would gain Medicaid coverage. A lot of them would already have some form of less generous coverage, such as the Affordable Care Act coverage. And then you're looking at the uninsured population in the state might drop by an estimated, 23,000 individuals, something like that. Because again, a lot of the people who would gain coverage would have coverage right now. It just wouldn't be quite as good as what Medicaid would be.
So what impact, which I think is going to surprise a lot of people, what's the impact that Wisconsin would face for expanding versus staying where we are?
Right. So of the 10 states that have not expanded Medicaid, Wisconsin is on a really, really different footing from the rest of those states. I mean, there's no other state. All the other states have an uninsured rate that is higher than the national average. We're lower. They don't cover, and none of these other states cover any childless adults in their Medicaid programs. They don't cover any adult without dependent children at home. Wisconsin covers individuals up to the poverty limit, so we cover about 290,000 of those individuals.
Wow.
And so we are currently paying 40% of the costs, roughly, as state taxpayers to do that. If we were to expand Medicaid, the state would, or the federal government, would take on an extra 30% of those costs. And then, so again, for 290,000 individuals. Plus, we would add 70 to 90,000 new people to the rolls. And the way that all nets out is the state would actually save money, and we would be on our Medicaid spending as a state from our state tax dollars would go down. We're the only state in that position of the remaining 10. And so if you look at it over the next 2 years, the estimated savings to state taxpayers would be in the realm of $1.7 billion. Some of those are one-time savings. The ongoing savings into the future would be less, but there's, it's a substantial amount of money.
And so $1.7 billion savings would that be the state budget, or is that something that could be used on other parts of healthcare? Because I know, and this could be a totally separate thing, but I know as we've talked about some of the issues we're seeing with nursing homes and the care that's provided, some of that's tied into Medicaid reimbursement rates. Is that something that this money could go towards?
It could, and that's been one of the arguments against expansion that I failed to mention before. Medicaid does not fully reimburse providers for the full cost of providing coverage. So there is some impact to providers. Now, again, it's better for the provider than if, let's say, someone shows up with no coverage in an emergency room and the hospitals got to, simply provide it on a charity basis. But it is not, the same level of coverage that, a private insurance or even, in some cases Medicare might provide. So there is some impact to that. However, again, because Wisconsin is in this unusual position of actually saving money with expansion, there could be the possibility of increasing reimbursement rates. Now, there's no guarantee that the state would use the money that way. There might be, for example, a budget hole or something like that in the future, and we expand Medicaid and we use the money for that, which we've seen that before with that sort of thing in Wisconsin. But in theory, the elected officials could certainly do that.
All right. Well, as you said, it's a 40-page report that's hard to cover in 8 to 10 minutes. But if you would like to read the whole thing, at least even the executive summary, the report is called The Picture of Health, Considering Medicaid Expansion in Wisconsin. Jason Stein, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Jason.
My pleasure. It's all for free on the website.
Also free on the website. All right. Thanks so much. Citing Unlimited News Time, 2:46. It's spanning the state.
Hi, folks. This is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. With shorter days in the forecast, brighten up now with top-quality lighting and ceiling fans at unbeatable prices. At our award-winning showroom, you'll see our new display of Visual Comfort brand lighting along with their newest LED lights and ceiling fans. We carry every major brand, and our prices are the lowest. I guarantee it. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids and our famous free popcorn. BBC is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and on Saturdays from 10 to 4. We're located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue, across from Sobelman's and Bachman Furniture, all near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Find furniture for life from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
Okay, close your mouth and take a deep breath in through your nose. So the way it's supposed to be is that you should be able to breathe easily. You shouldn't feel constrained. What it should feel like is air briskly flowing freely through both nasal passages, day and night. And if not, there's a problem. And it's a don't know what your problem really was until you got it fixed kind of problem. You're living with it. You're tired a lot. It might give you headaches and sinus pressure, but you're living with it. Yeah, you sound like almost every patient we help until we get their problem fixed. And then you hear them saying, why would I put up with that? Advent will get you breathing freely again with simple in-office solutions like turbinate reduction along with balloon sinuplasty that really can change your life.
To date, Advent has solved over 40,000 breathing triangle problems. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
For your next night out, make Aria, the acclaimed restaurant inside St. Kate the Arts Hotel, your dinner destination. Aria, nestled on the second floor of St. Kate, is an artful dining experience that captivates with its culinary creativity. Delighting in its offering of artisanal American cuisine, the restaurant transcends tradition and leans into the realm of playful and inventive flavors. Come and experience the magic of Aria, where every bite is a work of culinary artistry. Learn more and make reservations at aria@stkate.com.
Cheese doodles, Mr. Nougat Bar. Oh, here we go. 4-door hatchback.
Some things are fine to buy from a vending machine, but a car's not one of them. That national online company makes it seem convenient, but it won't be so convenient if you have a problem with the vehicle you buy. And if it's after 7 days, good luck. Adam member dealers also let you search online, plus test drive the vehicle before you buy it. And they're right here to handle any issues.
What? The car's stuck. No!
Start your search at adamm.com.
All right, the countdown. When does the countdown officially start for this game one of the Wild Card Series? Right now?
Yeah, we start coverage at 3:55.
I was going to say, we're within two hours of first pitch.
Yes, and Vince Vitrano is out there. You can hear people are yelling at Vince already. He's riling people up. He's wandering around the parking lot looking for free beer and bratwurst. Hello, Vince.
Hey, guys, I'm trying to not be in the way. Actually, if you heard the yelling, it's like several Mets fans who,
What?
Well, New Yorkers, they're loud.
Of course.
And that guy wants everybody on the Mets to know that he's here to see his team.
Oh, okay.
Well,
so
that's
where
what
are
I'll
you
take.
right now, Vince? Are you in the stadium?
Yeah, I'm right behind home plate on the warning track behind home plate that the Mets are taking batting practice. And that fan I described is right behind the Mets dugout. He's shouting to every individual player, just let them know, hey, I came from New York.
Oh, wow.
Congrats.
And they're like, that's okay. None of us live in New York. Good for
Right,
you,
yeah,
sir.
congrats, buddy.
So what's the vibe there as you got there? And there are people tailgating, I'm assuming, and inside the park, what's the feeling in there?
Yeah, and I guess, guys, I kind of anticipated an opening day sort of feel. I mean, the weather is beautiful. As soon as they open, you guys know on opening day,
Yeah.
like as soon as they open the parking lots, like people are lined up on the freeway. It was really light coming in. There wasn't a lot of traffic. And I guess that I would chalk that up to we didn't even know what time this game was going to be until at some point Sunday.
Right.
People got stuff to do. So they do fully expect to sell out today. So it's not like folks aren't coming, but it's going to be a later arriving crowd than we're used to.
You talked to Pat Murphy this morning, and quite frankly, sometimes he's a little gruff would be a good adjective when he talks to you two. You and Eric kind of get him worked up a little bit. What did he have to? What's his feeling going into this wild card series?
You know, it's funny, guys. He was the same Pat Murphy that we talked to on opening day, that we talked to before the All-Star break. I mean, like, if you would expect a cat like that to start changing his stripes now as he heads into the postseason, you'd be disappointed. So, same guy, didn't have a sense of, like, overexcitement, didn't have a sense of nerves, just, his thing. And you can see it all over the stadium, signs posted that say, win today.
Win today.
So that's been his thing. So you know what his attitude is about today? Win today.
That's great. That's great. But you also talked to Mark Attanasio this morning, right?
I had a little bit of a time with him yesterday, Kristen.
Okay.
A few of us, it was a small room. He talked for about 45 minutes, and they've done this a couple of times, the Brewers have. And I thought it was really healthy because it's kind of a loose atmosphere, and you can ask him whatever you want. I mean, the favorite thing I asked him was, I tried to bait him into cracking on Craig Counsell for how things all turned out this year.
How'd that go?
He stayed classy. He wouldn't take the bait. I actually phrased it this way. I'm like, I would invite you, please, at this time to gloat a little bit. He said gloating is not in his makeup.
Okay.
All right, fair enough. Now,
how boring.
Yeah. Well, you are unapologetic in your Brewers fandom. What's in your eyes the Vince Vitrano analytics? What's the big difference between this year's team and last year's team? What's gonna get them over the hump this year?
Wouldn't you agree? It's just intangibles. There's an entirely different feel. And I think that has a lot to do with the aforementioned Pat Murphy. I think he just brings a completely different vibe. I feel like the guys and the team, when I've been around them and covering, and when we talk to Pat Murphy, when we've talked to other players or former players, like it's just loose. Not that they're not trying, but I felt like there was always this sort of cloud, and maybe that was just Craig's way. But it just felt so much more negative, so much more pressing, so much more stressful. And this club, this group of guys, they're very close, they're loose, and that to me is the intangible that's so different this season from last.
Perfect. Well, Vince, enjoy the game. One last quick question. Any Grimace sightings? Have you seen Grimace?
I've not seen Grimace.
All right. Well, keep an eye out, and if you do, hamstring him a little bit. Vince Vitrano is at the ballpark in advance of Game 1 of the Wild Card Series. Vince, thanks for taking some time.
Thanks for having me on Spanning the State.
I like that. All right, more after this.
In Milwaukee, it's baseball season, even in the fall.
And Wisconsin's Afternoon News has partnered up with Vienna Beef for Tailgate Tuesday.
Throughout the Brewers' run in the playoffs, tune into Wisconsin's Afternoon News every Tuesday during the 3 o'clock hour for your chance to win a $150 Vienna Beef gift card.
And a rocket to right, base hit, they win!
Nothing says Brewers playoffs like Vienna Beef.
We're the home of the Brewers.
We are the home of the Brewers.
WTMJ.
Go Brewers!
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Rate Watcher Brian Wickert. Well, the Federal Reserve finally cut their overnight interest rate by 0.5%. But mortgage rates already had this cut baked in. Good news is AccuNet can deliver a 30-year fixed APR between 5.7% and 6.4% on a $260,000 30-year fixed rate loan with 25% down payment and all the other best attributes. The APR depends on how much you want to spend in closing costs and a lot of other factors. Now, will lower mortgage rates get more homeowners to list their homes for sale? Maybe a little, but it's almost certain more buyers will come off the sidelines, which is why you need a highly skilled AccuNet loan consultant more than ever, along with our rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval to help get your offer accepted. It's also a good time to take a look at a genuine zero loan cost refi. Whatever you do, don't settle for a